Hi, fifth graders. Welcome to our last day of our fourth grade fraction review. So today we're going to review adding and subtracting like fractions. Before we start, we want to remember what like fractions are. Like fractions are fractions that have the same denominator. Remember that the denominator is how many pieces the whole is cut into. So in each one of these, our whole, which is the circle, so we could say it's like a pie, our whole pie is cut into 8 equal pieces. So each of these has a denominator of 8. These 3 different pies each are cut into 8 equal pieces. What makes them like denominator or like fractions is the fact that all the denominators are 8. So you can see the sizes between the 3 different pies are the same. The only difference is how many pieces we have. So in 1/8, I have 1 piece of pie, 1 out of 8 pieces. With 4/8, I have 4 out of 8 pieces. And with 6/8, we have 6 out of 8 pieces. But because all of these have a denominator of 8, it means the pieces are the same size. So when we add or subtract like fractions, our denominator stays the exact same. The only thing that we're adding or subtracting is the numerator. So we're going to see how you can do that and show that with fraction bars on your slides. So you're going to have slides that look like this that ask you to add the fractions. If you look at step 1 right here, it says add the numerators. Remember that the numerator is the top part of the fraction. So these are the pieces that I have. I have 4 in one and 3 in the other. So I'm going to add 4 plus 3. That's going to give me my new numerator, which is 7. It says use the fraction bars to create the sum of the numerators. So we're going to do that. We're going to actually take this 1/5, and it would have been 4 up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, plus 1, 2, 3. Let me grab it. 3/5 right here. And we're putting those all together. So again, I'm going to use that trick where I use the control key, click 1, and then click control on my keyboard so I can click all 4 of these together at once and drag them down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7/5 down here. 7/5 is how many I have when I put 4 plus 3. Now remember, I keep saying fifths because they are fifths right here. It's 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, 1/5, 2/5, 3/5. So right here it tells you the denominator stays the same. I'm still using pieces that are 1/5 of the whole. You do not add the denominators together. The denominator stays the same because it tells you how many pieces the whole was cut into. You're only adding the pieces that you have, which is shown by the numerator. Then you're going to notice there's more work here. The reason there's more work here is because in this problem, we have an improper fraction. So step 4 says convert the improper fraction to a mixed number. So we are going to do that. Remember that we learned this earlier this week. We take our numerator, 7, and we divide it by our denominator, 5. Because we want to know 7 is bigger than 5. How many whole fraction bars do we have? And then how many extra pieces? 7 divided by 5 is simple. I know it only fits in there once, so I'm going to put a 1 right here. That's going to be my whole number. Notice the colors match. My whole number is now 1. 5 times 1 is 5, so I'm going to subtract that because I used 5 pieces to make my whole number. And when I do that, I have 2 left over. The 2 left over are the 2 fractions, the 2 fraction pieces I still have left. And all of my pieces are still in fifths. I'm not changing any of those. All of my pieces are still in fifths. So our answer here is 1 2/5. The reason you have this here is to see what that looks like when you turn it into a mixed number. So bring down your 1 whole, and you'll see when you put it right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those 5 filled up that one hole because you have one hole plus 2/5 more. 5/5 is one whole and 2/5. So when you get done with your ones that are improper fractions, you should have this too. You should be able to see that you have created however many whole numbers there are, and then the fraction part, 2/5. So now we're going to look at another adding one where we're not going to have an improper fraction, but we need to simplify. So same thing here. I'm doing 5/8 plus 1/8. So I can bring this over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Notice I'm not using these fourths. Those are going to come in later. These are eighths, so I'm only using the eighths. And then there's another 1/8 right here. And I'm adding them together. I'm only adding the numerators. 5 plus 1 is 6. And the denominator is how many pieces it was cut into. That's not changing, so it's still 8. The denominator always stays the same. 6/8. Now when I bring those down, I can see that again. So I'm going to go like this. I'm going to use that control key because it helps me grab a bunch at once. 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6/8. So I should be able to count that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 eighths. And it should match right here, and it does. But then it says step 4, simplify. We can make a simpler fraction here. So earlier this week, we learned how to simplify. We're going to put that into practice here. Remember, to simplify, we need to list the factors of the numerator and denominator to find the greatest common factor. So the numbers I can multiply together to make 6 are 1, 2, missing 1, 3, and 6. The factors of 8, the numbers I can multiply together to make 8 are 1 times 8, and 2 times 4. So 1, 2, 4, and 8. The greatest common factor, the biggest one that both of them have, is the number 2. So I put that right here. Again, notice that the colors are going to match here. I know I'm using this to divide. I can simplify by dividing both of these numbers by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So what I found here is that 6/8 is the same thing as 3/4. This is where the fourths comes in. We're going to use that to show what that looks like. I'm going to put them right here so they match. And what we should notice is 3/4 matches perfectly with our 6/8, but we simplified and we can see it is simpler. It's less pieces and the pieces are bigger. It's a simpler number to work with. Our final answer is the 3/4. I'm going to show you one more with subtraction. So in this one, we're doing 9/10 minus 7/10. So we're going to use the fraction bars to create the top fraction. I want you to put it down at the bottom though, because then we're just going to delete it. I'll show you that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that's what I'm starting with, 9/10, right? 9/10, but then I'm subtracting. I'm taking away only the numerators. So I'm going to show that by deleting the number we are subtracting. We're doing 9 minus 7, so we should have 2 left. 9 minus 7 is 2. So 1, I'm using that control button again. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I'm just clicking delete on my keyboard. And I have 2 tenths left, which is what I want. 9 minus 7 is 2. I have 1, 2 tenths. The denominator stays the same. But then the same thing here, we need to simplify. We can make that a simpler fraction. So I'm going to say the factors of 2, I know are 1 and 2. And the factors of 10 are 1, 2, 5, and 10. The greatest one that they both have is 2, which means I can divide them both by 2 to get a simpler fraction. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 10 divided by 2 is 5. So 9 tenths minus 7 tenths is 2 tenths. Simplified, that answer is 1/5. And I can prove that by bringing this over here and noticing they have the exact same value. 2 tenths is the same as 1/5. So now it's your turn. You're going to do your own. Come back to the video if you need help. Make sure you're using the fraction bars and that you are turning improper fractions into mixed numbers or simplifying when you need to. And when you are done, rate yourself and then submit your slides on Schoology.